All right, let me share my screen and we'll get started. And we'll get this lined up. We have our iPad here. And let me pull up the presentation right here. So this is our overview, kind of our agenda of the things that we'll be going through today. And we'll be able to share these slides with you and share the recording with you after as well. So I wanted to make you aware of these items that we're going through. Turn the time over to Travis.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the basics of iPads. A lot of this, if you have an iPhone, you're probably fairly familiar with it. If you've used an iPad for a while, you're probably fairly familiar with it. So let's open up the iPad here. One of the first things with these iPads are there are a few different menu options for them. One of the first ones that is really useful is the iPad Control Center. Now, to get to the Control Center, you come to the top right of your iPad and you swipe down about halfway here, or even a little less, until you can see that menu. Now, on this menu right here, you have a lot of options. You have your airplane mode, you have your wireless, Bluetooth, if you want to disable any of those, things like that. They're all right in this little section right here. And there's more that you can add, which we'll cover here in a minute.
But it's hidden, and there's hidden features in this.
Yes, because actually, like Randy said, there's hidden features. So like our camera, for example, if it's a quick way to open your camera, but if you push and hold on it, you can actually see a few more options under that camera. If you need to add a note, it gives you a few more options in here. So that menu is just from the top right down. Now there's also the notification center. This one you swipe down from the top middle and all the way down here, and it's going to open up your notifications. If you have, say you have like the Gmail app and you have notifications enabled, you're going to see those emails that you're getting. They're going to show up right in here. Any apps that have updates, they're going to show in this notification menu. And like I said, it's just from the top down right there. The next menu that there is it's the iPad search menu. So what you do is about halfway through your screen, you just swipe down and you're going to get that pop up right there. So now if there's an app you're looking for, so see we have photos here, but say I can't find photos, I can start typing it and it's going to pop up right there. So now I can just open up photos and it's going to go into photos, which this is a screenshot. That's not actually, we are in photos here. The next one is going to be rearranging your home screen. So if you want to move an app, what you can do is you can tap and hold and you're going to get this menu that pops up. Once you get that menu, you can release and you can say edit home screen. Now all your apps are going to start wiggling. The other way to do that, so now if we want to stop that, we just tap. You can also get into that by pushing and holding, and I'm actually going to keep holding. And then it's going to start wiggling. So there's two ways to do that. Now say there's an app we don't want. Well, actually first let's move an app. So we want books over here. You just push and hold, and once it kind of picks up, you can move it around and move it wherever you want it on here. But now, and you can also move it into the dock here. So if we grab the App Store, we can also add it down here into our dock. And now it's easily accessible. So now say we don't want podcasts. So if we push and hold, we can either do it this way, see where it says remove app. Now, if I tap that, it's going to come up and we can actually delete the app. Or if we push and hold and keep holding until it starts wiggling, we can push this minus sign and do the same thing, delete app, and it will allow us to delete that off of the iPad. Now, once we're done doing that, we can either tap the screen or push the home button. And once they're not wiggling anymore, you can now use your iPad like you normally would. Now, say, for example, you see books and podcasts, and you're like, that's kind of entertainment. That can go into a folder all in one. You don't want to fill up your screen with a bunch of stuff. What you can do is if you push and hold until we get them wiggling here. So now we have our icons wiggling. Now, if I move this and hover over top, it's going to create a folder where I can now put those in. Let's get that to focus here. Come on. There we go. So now we have this folder, but I'm going to leave it wiggling because I don't like the name folder. Now, if I come in here, I can now edit this name for it to say, let's do entertainment. And now if we tap out of it, now that is going to be called entertainment. So any apps I have that I want to add into that, I can now add just by doing that same thing, dragging and dropping. So maps, not really entertainment, but I guess someone might enjoy it. So we'll just move that down, hover over, let go. And you can also adjust them in here. So you can rearrange them within your folder also. So that is how you modify those. Oh, you can also see this in the top right, it says done. We can also say done. One of the things we can also do, like I was saying earlier, is we can modify this control center. In order to do that, we go into settings, then see how we have control center over here. We go into control center, and one of the apps we're going to actually go to is screen recording. But to start, any of these, if you don't want silent mode in their timer, you can push the red minus. And now down here, you can see these with the green pluses. If there's any you want, you can push the green plus. So screen recording, this is one that is really useful. So we're going to add that one. Once we add it, it's now going to show up in our control center. So now if I drop this down, we can see these two circles. This is our screen recording. And with our screen recording, there's a few options, just like we were showing you before. If you push and hold, you can see the different options here. The same thing happens with this one. If I push and hold, we can put it where we want it, or we're just going to select photos. And then also we can turn the microphone on and off. So if we have the microphone off and we do a screen recording, we're going to tap that 3, 2, 1. Now it's going to start recording. I can talk and you're going to see this red thing up here. We know we're recording. I can move everything around. Now, if I played a YouTube video, it's going to catch the sound, but with me talking, it's not. So now if we come into photos and we go to the recording we just made, you're going to see we have our volume on and there's no sound. That's because we didn't have anything playing on there other than me talking. So now let's do another screen recording, but this time we're going to have it with our microphone on. So now we're going to start the recording. 2, 1, and it's going to start once we see that red. Now it's going to actually be recording my voice.
Teacher, I have a question. Just wanted to add something to the recording.
Randy wants to hear himself through the recording. So now we're going to stop that. And now we come into photos again. And now we find this recording, and you're going to notice that it's going to actually be recording my voice. So now you can do your screen recordings with your iPad. And it's just as simple as adding that one thing through the control center.
I have a tip. It does not record while you're mirroring your screen to your Apple TV. So
yes, there's some, I'm not sure, security features, privacy features. They do not let you record if you're sending it to AirServer or Apple TV. Now, say your iPad is kind of slowing down, bogging down a little bit. One of the best things you can do is close any apps running in the background. If you double tap your home button, if you have a home button and you double tap it, you're going to get your apps. If you swipe them up, you're going to be closing those apps out completely. And so we can do that. Now, if you have an iPad without that home button and you can't double click, you can actually do this on them too. If you swipe up from the bottom about halfway, so we'll do that again. So if we come up from the bottom about halfway, it's going to show up, and we can do the same thing to close out. So we want to close out Safari. Same kind of thing. That'll help speed it up a little bit. If you want to take a screenshot on an iPad with the home button, you'll push the lock button in the top right and the home button at the same time, and it'll come down to the bottom. So if you want to take a screenshot, that's how you do it. Now, if you have an iPad without the home button, you'll do the lock key and the volume up at the same time, which it doesn't work on this one. But if you do have one that doesn't have that, that's how you do that. Another important feature that it is for everybody to know is sometimes you just need to turn it off and on again. All you do, push and hold on the lock button. You're going to get this. You'll slide that and it'll power it off. To turn it on, you just push and hold the lock key until you see the apple and it'll boot back up. And that is the iPad basics. Does anybody have any questions, anything like that? Oh, one really important one I almost forgot is updates. We want to make sure that everybody's doing updates on the iPads. So to do an update, you go into settings and you go to general and then see software update. If you go in here, we have automatic updates on and we're actually completely up to date. If it isn't, you'll see a screen that gives you the update. Make sure that you are doing those updates. Those are a good thing to do on these iPads. You don't need to wait for us to tell you, yes, you can do it. Those are good updates to do.
Okay, thanks, Sir Travis. Ron's going to take us through Manager.
Yeah, most of you guys actually know the Manager, and everybody has been using it with their iPads and with their Macs about getting the self-service and getting the apps that you guys needed. So with the iPads, we actually gave some self-service, and the apps that are showing up at your school are the apps that your technology person and or other people or teachers said, hey, this is probably one of the top apps that we use in this school. Could we have it in self-service? And the way to get to self-service would be if you go to home and look for the Manager app right there. There's a couple ways of doing it. This time we're just going to search for it. And there we go. And there's the Manager app right there. So we click on that. And we are asking you guys not to log in to this. We never log into this. And so what we're going to do is click on self-service. And here are the apps that each school is a little bit different, because some apps the school paid for and they're there, and some of them are just for that school or for the elementaries or for high school, for middle school. But the majority of these are right here. And what's happening here is these apps right here for faculty and staff have been vetted. And so that's why we are using the self-service portal compared to you guys logging into Apple School, the Apple Store, and getting the apps. We're asking you guys to look for these here before you go anywhere else. And to add any more apps to this self-service for your school, we're asking you guys to actually go to your tech person for that school and asking them, hey, can you see about getting the app for you guys, for us at the school? And we're asking, if we get like 3 or more teachers asking for the same app, we will put it on self-service. If we have 2 or less teachers asking for an app, we're going to ask those teachers or teacher to log into Apple Store and download it from the Apple Store with their Iron Mail account.
That's the hard way.
Yeah, actually, that is the very hard way of doing things as far as getting that done. And so we're asking you guys to use the self-service portion of this. And some schools already know this, but.
Moving on to AirServer.
All right.
This is for people that don't have an Apple TV.
So most elementaries, we're going to be running AirServer. Let me kind of show you here. You'll come into, oops, we need. So you're going to open, oh, you don't have manager on here.
No.
Okay, so you're going to actually do the same thing with to get AirServer, but except on your MacBook. So like your iPad, you're going to open your manager app that's on your computer, go to self-service, and AirServer will be on there. Once you have it though, do you want to run AirServer? Okay, so with AirServer, what you're going to do is once you get it, you're going to actually see up here. So if you can see that, you're going to have AirServer running, and it's going to be that little square with the rectangle pointing out of it, and you'll see AirServer sitting there. Now, with that, one of the first things you're going to want to do once you get AirServer is come up here, and you're going to want to go to Preferences. We want to make sure that we have this locked down. So if we come in here and we say there's two options, there's fixed password or on-screen code. This on-screen code, it's going to pop up just like an Apple TV would. Everything's going to show really similar to that. Fixed password is one that you can actually type a password that you want, and then nobody would see it unless you gave them that password. So I'm just going to show an on-screen code. So, and I'll kind of show you what happens here. It will come from both sides. So I'm going to show you from the MacBook side first. On our screen, if I come to the iPad, which you can't see yet, and I'll show you that in just a minute. We're going to select my computer name, and then you're going to see a code pop up. Now, when that code pops up, I put that code in to the iPad, and we'll show you that side here in just a minute. That takes just a sec. And now we're actually looking at our iPad. So when you're using AirServer, you need to be connected. Your computer still needs to be connected to your projector, but then see how you can see this iPad from on the computer. So that is basically how we're going to be running that. Now, all I did before on the iPad, we'll run through that really quick, is you drop that down, our control center from the top right, and we tap on this screen mirroring. And in here, your computer should show up, the name of your computer. Once you find it, you'll select it, and that is when that code will pop up on your computer, and it'll pop up here for you to type it in. Once you want to be done screen mirroring, you'll just swipe down, select this again, and say stop mirroring. And then you're back to your computer screen. One of the things, if you do that and you're not seeing your screen or it's coming up saying it's failed, what you want to do is click on that little AirServer icon at the top and say rebroadcast services. That's going to restart that, and you can reconnect. Just similar to an Apple TV, when you turn it off and on again, that rebroadcast services is going to restart those services. And that is basically AirServer right there.
So sharing your iPad screen onto your projector is one of the very top most used features. So having AirServer is essential to doing that if you don't have an Apple TV, which most elementaries don't. So
there's a manager app on your MacBook, on our MacBooks too. Okay.
Yes.
yeah,
I didn't see that. Okay.
so it's a paid app and it comes with a serial number. So we're
I saw
trying to
that.
automate it. We're trying to automate it, but
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
If you haven't used AirServer yet, you can use it when that pop-up comes up. You can use it in trial mode, which gives you 30 days for free to use it. So you can actually use it.
Oh, okay. I did see that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right, GoodNotes. We're going to do just a basic training on GoodNotes to get people started. This is a very popular app. It's similar to some other ones that are out there. And it's a way to turn your iPad into like a virtual whiteboard or a virtual smartboard so that you can get away from the front of the classroom if you want to be doing things from the back of the classroom or your desk or walking around. So I'm going to do a quick demo on that. This is where your Apple Pencil comes into play. So I installed GoodNotes from the Manager app, and I'm going to open GoodNotes. So there's a lot of things that you'll want to do to get started. And I put right here on this bullet, new folders, new pages, scan documents, photos, importing PDFs. So we want to do that. But before we do that, we need to talk about backing up to Google Drive so you don't lose anything. If your iPad gets stolen or dies or is broken beyond repair, you don't lose all of your work. So you'll go to the little gearbox at the top and you'll go to settings. And then in settings, you'll go to automatic backup. In here, you can go in here and you can select your cloud storage and you can select Google Drive, and then you say log into Google Drive and it steps you through that. And then you log into your IronMail Google account and you set that as your backup. And then you have automatic backup set up. So that's something. And now notice that in these settings that there are a lot of different things that you can go through, and we won't go through quite all of them right now, but there are some settings in there. So being organized. Folders will help you be organized. And so you'll want to start off with a folder. And right now I'm going to call this reading. So okay, and notice how that converted that for me. And then I hit done. So I've got this new folder called reading. Then I can go inside that and create new notebooks inside that. So a notebook is like a slideshow. You can put an image in a notebook or a slideshow, and you can put new pages and stuff like that. So let me open a new notebook. So in the notebook, it's like, hey, you're empty. You need to create some. So there's a lot of templates that you can choose from, and you can do portrait or landscape, depending on if you want to rotate your iPad this way and have it belong. You can do portrait or landscape, and lots of different types of pages. You create a new page. And so now we've got a new page in here, and you can call this page 1. Okay. And now we've got one page, and we can create a new page and a square paper. And then this is page 2. So we've got a new notebook and we've got it saved. All right, so let me go back to the first. There's a back button and go clear the documents. And I want to go through this math. So I've got a new math unit, unit 7.2.4, and I want to go to the first page, and I've got some problems that we're going to work out on the board. So I'm mirroring my iPad to my projector through an Apple TV or through AirServer. Now, I'm going to set my palm right on here, and it's going to ignore it. And I'm going to change to a blue pen, 9 + 7, 16, carrier 1. So you can see how we're doing this. And now I can erase. If I go to my eraser tool, I can erase that, or I can say undo, 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 like that. So there's some different options there. So now I can go back to my pen and pick the black color. 9 + 1 is 10. Carrier 1 up there. I don't like the way the 1 looks, so I can say undo, and I can put a different 1 up there. So those are some options. Then I can go to page 2 and do more things right here. Page 3, notice I have a worksheet, and we could work through this. And we could do our times tables and work through this as a class. And I'm walking around, and I'm not at the whiteboard, and I'm using a pencil. So this is one option. Now I want to add a third page. I don't have any more pages, but right here, I've got a worksheet that I want to convert and put on my board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say add, and I'm going to scan a document. So what this does, it opens the camera. Now it's going to detect that there is a document here, but I've got to raise this up so it's going to be hard to see because of the camera, but it's going to auto detect the corners when I get it up high enough. Okay, it took a picture. Notice the picture it took of my work, and I've imported it on the next page, and then I say done and save. Well, that took a long time, but it got it. Okay, so now I have another page to my unit, my math unit, and I can come in here. 2 plus 2 is 4. Undo. Okay. Now, if I want to get to a page, let's say you have 10 pages, you can hit the little page. These are your pages. There's 4 squares here. And I can jump right to a certain page I want to jump to. Now I can change and move this to a different folder because this math unit is in the wrong folder. I need to put it in the math folder, and I just move it like that. So now when I come to my documents all the way to the front, here's my math unit and my math things from there. Okay. There's edit mode and reading mode. And I've imported a PDF into here. Now, if I start doing this, I'm writing on here, and I don't want to write on this PDF. I just want to click the link, but I can't click it because it's in edit mode. I need to get out of edit mode. There's a little X through the pen, so I tap that button. Now I'm in reading mode, and it's read only, and I can tap this, and it's a link, and it goes right to the page I want to go to. Then I go, if I want to go first, I choose my pages. And I can go back to the page 1, tap this one, takes me to a different page, and I can come back to page 1 right here. That is reading mode and edit mode. I'm toggling back and forth. Okay. Now, if you lose your pencil or the battery goes dead, right in the middle of this, what can you do? Because I'm in edit mode, but my finger is not writing. I need to tap on these 3 dots and go down to stylus and palm rejection. Change my smart stylus to none and say done. Now my finger is drawing and my finger is erasing. Oh, my pen is charged and pencil is charged, and I want to come back. Pen and stylus rejection. Turn it back to my Apple Pencil. Done. And there's my eraser. Here is my. So I'm back to that. So that is GoodNotes. And there's a lot more to GoodNotes. This is a basic getting started, get up to speed, and just the basics of that. All right. Any questions so far on GoodNotes? If you're on mute, go ahead and unmute, and you can ask a question on GoodNotes.
How do I upload a PDF into the GoodNotes?
Okay, let's do that. So you can upload it right here to your documents. Oh, sorry. You can upload it right here, right to your documents. There's an import button. That would just put it right here where this PDF is right here. Or you can import it right into a notebook. So if you're right here and you want to be part of your unit, the plus button. Sorry, let me get out of that. Plus button, and I can say import. Now, it has to be on your iPad to start with. This just happens to be on my iPad right here. So I go here, and then I choose it, and it happened to be in my files. And I can say iPad manual, and it does this import.
But so it won't like access my Google Drive.
I'm not signed into Google Drive, and I don't have Google Drive installed on here,
I would say.
but I think you probably could. So if you had Google Drive installed,
Mhm.
I'm just going to install it for Manager. You could probably pull a PDF right from Google Drive into GoodNotes. I'm really confident that you could make that work.
Okay.
And so then you'd be in GoodNotes, and now let's say you want to put an image, a graphic. You could put a graphic into your math program as well. And we would say plus, and we would say import an image because you took a picture of something, and then I imported an image, and I have that in my slideshow as well. When I say slideshow, I mean notebook. That's the GoodNotes term, is notebook. And we have pages in the notebook. Those are all the pages in this notebook. And then I can come back to the start to my documents. And this is a picture I took with the camera. So you can take a picture with the camera on your iPad and import them. So that is the basics of GoodNote. There's much more to it, and there's really fancy things that GoodNotes can do. But I wanted to show you a few extra things about Apple Pencils. We have an Apple Pencil 1 or a Pencil 2nd generation 2. Right? This happens to be the Apple Pencil 1, and it works fine. And this is the basic notes app right here. And I can create a new note. Notice these tools. This is the tool toggle button right here. I can say tools. So I can get a marker, do this, and then I can erase like this. And there's much more to it than that. Let's say I want to write some letters. Right here is a special pen. I go right here, and then I can say my dog. Now notice what's happening right up here, my dog. So you'll have to practice with that pencil. It's not quite as handy as I thought it was going to be, but this is the text recognition one. So we have different tools here that we can do in our notes. Okay, so Apple Pencils and charging them and everything. Hopefully you had a chance to work with those, and they can be a great tool for you, but you will need it for GoodNotes especially. Anything else before we move on to the next thing? Okay, Travis is going to take a minute and give us some good tips about creating shortcuts.
So M-Class is the perfect example to create a shortcut. A lot of teachers use M-Class and need M-Class, and one of the best ways to have it is adding it to the iPad actual screen, its home screen itself. But you can actually use the same technique with a lot of other programs. M-Class is just one that is used a lot for this. So when you're creating it, we'll open up here. So we'll first go to Safari. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually go to mclass.amplify.com/assessments or assessment. And once that comes up, it's going to come up to our login screen. Now, when you're adding this to when you want this on your home screen, you would actually want to sign in first. Then once you are signed in, you're going to push this little square with the arrow, and then see where it says add to home screen. We're going to tap on that. And then we'll have a little image here. Once, if you're actually signed in, it's going to show like the M that you're used to, and it's going to show M class. And then we're just going to say add. Once it's added, you're going to see it right here. Like I said, if you're signed in, it's going to show the M, and it's going to show M class instead of login to Amplify. But then you'll be able to run it like an app. And so, you know, if we have our Safari closed in that, we'll run it, and it's going to automatically open us up right to the page we want to be at. So you can actually do this with multiple, I mean, any site you really want to. You can create these shortcuts, then it'll be treated just like an app now. So if we want to tap on it, move it around, we can delete it, we can edit the home screen, and we can move it around just like you would an app. We can add it to a folder just like you would. And that is how you can create those. They're called bookmarks, but it basically is making a web page act like an app. So it's a lot easier for you to access. So that can be very useful, and that's what you'll use to do M class.
Cool, thanks. I use that sometimes for certain web pages I go to all the time. I just create a shortcut to them. Now, we're going to talk about AirDrop. And I want to show you what it looks like going from iPad to something else or a MacBook to something else. So let's say you have a document or a photo that you want to send to someone. So I've got this photo and I need to send this to another teacher or to my MacBook. Right here, you will tap the send to icon and then you go to AirDrop. Now you can see that someone has AirDrop turned on. By default, AirDrop is turned off and you have to turn it on. But there's someone, so I can tap on it. Now, if I come over here to my computer, it popped behind. Here it is, accept or decline. And I say, oh, okay, I want to accept that, and it will put it in my downloads folder. So now I just got it, okay? So that was going from my iPad to my MacBook. So let me show you how to turn it on. If you want to receive an AirDrop, you come right here, and it's a hidden feature. Tap and hold, and it's right here. By default, it's off. So you come in and you say turn on for everyone. Now it's on, and you can now receive AirDrops, and it will ask you if you want to accept them or not when they show up.
Is that a good way to send PDFs? Like
Yeah.
the teacher one?
Yeah, you can send PDFs. So I'm going to send a PDF from my MacBook to my iPad. So I have an iPad manual right here that I want. It's a big PDF and I want to get it over to my iPad. So it's here in my downloads folder on my MacBook, and I'm going to come and say, I need a new Finder window. And I need to make sure my favorites are turned on and go to AirDrop. So here is my AirDrop menu right here. You may have to make sure it's turned on your MacBook if you want to receive. Now I can see some devices around me that will accept it. So I need to come over here and I drag it and drop it right on top of the one I want to send it to. Now I look over here and it says, hey, you're going to AirDrop. So I say accept. It says, hey, where do you want to put this? If you don't know, put it in your files. But if you do know, it goes to GoodNotes. You can say GoodNotes, but I'll just say files, and it puts it right there in my files. There it is. I have my iPad manual. I just AirDropped it to myself. So now I have that iPad manual. So that is AirDrop. Very handy for sending files. And you can send multiple files at a time or photos. So Travis is going to talk about these features real fast.
Yeah, so there are some really neat things that you can get. Adobe Scan is an app that we recommend when you're scanning in any documents. If you're not wanting to go directly into GoodNotes, Adobe Scan is a great option in order to scan documents into PDFs. The new iPads that you have, so the Apple 9th Gen, and as long as they're updated to iPad OS 15.1, I believe, they actually have a new feature called Apple Translate. If you open up your camera and highlight text, there's a little button you'll see that will come up, and if you select it, it'll actually give you the option to translate, and you can take things from English to other languages or other languages into English, and it'll also read them out loud. As many of you know, Siri is a great option for different features. You can ask Siri to do different things. The camera, you can actually use the iPads as a document camera, which is another great feature. You can use GoodNotes in order to be able to load those, just like Whiteboard. Cases. Now, if you don't have a case yet, a couple of things that we recommend is, and it depends a lot on your teaching style. If you want, we recommend, like you can see on that slide, that strap going around that person's hand, and also a spot to put your Apple Pencil. Then you can keep things together, and you can be able to keep a hold of your iPad with that strap in the back, so you can walk around and be teaching. The other one is a lot of teachers may not really carry their iPad around and would prefer to have a keyboard and a trackpad to use on their iPad, which you can see there down below. That is actually the one that we recommend. And there's just a lot of cool features that you can do with these, but depending on how you want to use it, either get a case with that strap or a keyboard. Both are really useful.
So thanks for joining. And we wish you a good evening.